All right, in your reserves, you will find this, the one that says recipes, and you will also find this one. It has a little envelope with the heart and all that. So what we're going to do on this, we're just going to double these up. We're going to measure over 5 7/8 and cut. Okay, let's flip those over. We're going to get that made off there. And that should fit. And I have it where the bird is up at the top. There's this one. And let's just see how this plays out for us. If I slide that back behind, it's going to look like that. And it should look good. So I'm just making sure I have room there. So this part looks like it gets glue. And then we can trim it down if needed. So it's going to be hard for me to keep this straight, but I think the paper is going to help me. I'm just going to come down to the bottom of the cream little part of this before you get to the brick. I'm just going to line that up with that. Hopefully that'll be semi-straight. Again, don't forget to take your mate off. Now if I place it up here, giving myself a black border, that should put me away from the score line. So we're ready to go here with gluing this one down. Okay, that mate right there. Okay, you have these pieces. Now what we're going to do is take this off there. We're going to flip this over and we're going to adhere the back like we have before on pockets. We'll fold in the sides. Okay, so here is the top part of the flap. We're going to apply glue on these, and this should fit. If you bring it down to the bottom of the cardstock, side to side, it should fit right on in there. Let's do that. Then we'll set the magnet, and then we'll get the other piece down, and then we'll get the paper for the outside. And this, you definitely want to bring it all the way down to the black cardstock, and then we'll just go side to side here. Okay, so what's going to happen is this is going to be able to flap over, and you have that little bit of spacing. And I'm going to give mine just a little bit of a bend here. Here's the mate. I'm going to take off that backing. And again, like I said, I gave mine just a little bit of a bend, and I'm going to bring it down, and then I'll press. All right, let's apply glue and get that on there. Let's give it a try. That looks good. It works. All right, so in your reserves, you're going to find these long strips. And I'm going to show you what I have here. There is this, and it has kind of, looks like the side of a plate on it. On the other side, it has all that writing. So there's one. Next, you're going to find a thinner one that looks like this. And these are all long. I think they're all 12 inches long. Let's see. No, this one's shorter. These are 12, and then there's this one that is shorter than that. On the back, looks like this. And this one is about 11 inches long. Okay, so on all three of these, what we're going to do is measure over 5 7/8 and cut. Okay, so for these, all I'm going to do is kind of just, let's start at the top here. I'm just going to lay this one down. I'm going to leave a black border. I'm going to glue that down. This one will come right up next to it. And then this one, let's see, that one will come up right underneath it. So I'm going to get this to it, and it will leave a black spacing down here, and I have another piece for us for that. So, and it doesn't matter really which way you want to place these. And we're just pushing it right up next to the other so that there is some seam. The seam, you won't be able to see it as well. And we got other things I wanted to do for this, but wanted to use up some of these strips. Okay, so that's about what you'll have there. Grab this out of your reserves. What we're going to do is put this on our paper cutter, and we're just going to cut right below the brick. So this is the trim piece we want, and I will show you what mine looks like. Right here. We'll just line that up, make a pencil mark, and then we will kind of chop that off. It's 5 7/8. And we'll just glue that down. So this piece here is a different coloring, but it breaks it up pretty good. We'll leave ourselves just a little bit of a black border down there. All right. What we're going to do now is we're going to grab this, and on this, I want to use it as a pocket as well behind. You can slide something back behind. So when you rotate this, we are going to need to get some glue down the sides and the bottom and leave the opening alone. That way you can slide something in there. And we'll just come up a little bit from the bottom, make sure we're centered side to side. Let's try this out here. Here's something from reserves, but you can, this is a good size pocket in there to get your stuff in, and you can also use your fingers to get it out by having that little curve in there. And then you can also place stuff in there. We're not quite done here. There was something I wanted to do. Grab this out of reserves, and you see where it says a good life is a collection of happy moments? Well, we're just going to kind of cut that out. So we're going to cut out and around this. You can weave yourself around it, but we are going to mount it to some black cardstock after we're done, and then we'll glue that down to that, and then we'll cut out and around. So I'm going to first get started with just kind of weaving around this piece, and then I'll show you what I came up with before I put it on the black cardstock. So this is all I did, was kind of weave around it. Now what I'm going to do is take some black scrap cardstock, glue this down, and cut out and around, leaving a little bit of a black border. So here's mine, and we are just going to place that. I think we'll bring this down to maybe the bottom here of our little latch. I think we might do that. Glue that down. So I'm going to leave just no glue at the very bottom so it can kind of overhang a little. If you want to do yours a different way, you can. I am going to get some sort of scratch paper though underneath this. So let it overhang just a little bit. Well, I did pretty good there. Let's see. This page is complete. I think it came out really good. I like it. And we made good use of some scraps for the background piece. And this little message here to us, a good life is a collection of happy moments, sticks out with our going around with the black cardstock around it. Okay, we're going to flip this over, score tape around the outside like a picture frame, do one down the middle, one on each side, and we're going to plant this in the book together. Here is our page 1 and 2, 3 is here, and we're going to leave probably about a 1/4 inch away. I've got my score tape backing off. I got some glue down here. So now I'm just going to try and get this on. I think that'll work. And that should leave me a 1/4 inch away. So I left baby 1/8 over there. Okay, page 3 is complete. We are now moving on to page 4. We're on page 4. Let's review our pre-cuts. Our first one, we did it 6 7/8 by 9 3/4. We called it a fold out. We laid this on our scoring board. We are 6 7/8 across. We scored at a 1/2 and 3/4. The next one we had was a 3 by 8 5/8. We called it a pocket. We laid this on our scoring board. We are 3 inches across. We scored at a 1/2. We then turned it. We are 8 5/8 across. We scored at a 1/2 and 8 1/8. And that's our pocket. Next, we just had a 3 1/8 by 9 3/4. We called it a side tuck. There's no scoring on that. And then we had 3 pieces that we had at 3 7/8 by 11 1/2. We called these a folder. On each one, we laid them on our scoring board. We are 11 1/2 inches across, and at 5 3/4, we scored each one. And these are our folders. We have one more pre-cut, and that was 1 1/2 by, where's my thing? I forgot to put that. 3 inches. And all we did was lay this, so we are 3 inches across. We scored at a 1/2 and 5/8. It's our strap. In your paper pack, you will find this print, and on the back, it looks like this. The first thing that I think I would like us to do is we're going to turn this upside down, measure over 7 5/8 and cut. This piece, put in your reserves. Next, we're going to turn it this way. We'll measure over 9 3/4 and cut. Okay, flip this over. This is our main decorative page. The first thing that we are going to do is grab our pocket. So on the pocket, your squares, cut them out. We'll go ahead and fold, and we will glue these. Okay, so I'm looking at it. The opening is right there. In your reserves, pull this back out. I believe this is the cutting off the bottom of the back. We're going to apply glue to this. And then we're going to grab another piece too to kind of blend it in here. We're going to bring this to the top and leave a little bit of a black border up there. That side to side. If it goes over a little, it's okay. On our cut apart sheet, you will see that you have this long strip of brick. We're going to cut this strip off. And once you do that, we'll just place it across the bottom of our piece, and we'll just clip it where it needs to be. Oh, there we go. And I'm just going to add glue here. Get that down. Here's this. We're going to get this on there. And this little piece that came off, I'll put back in my reserves. Oop. Bring that down to the bottom of our decorative piece. Here is our cut apart sheet, and there are some things I would like to get. So I am going to just cut and I did detach this, and it's going to go in our reserves for right now. We're going to get these plates. Let's start there. Let's cut out and around each one of these. Looks like I'm going to have to stop filming here for a bit. All we're going to do is we're going to grab the red ones to start, put a little glue over here. I'm grabbing this one and just going to overlap. It doesn't matter the measurements, just try to keep them straight across the bottom. I'll grab this plate, just a little bit here. And thought I could get away with doing some filming before the framers got here, but apparently not. We're just going to glue that right on down. So something like that, real easy. Just giving it a little more, break up some of the busyness there. Well, maybe I can get away with a little more filming here. Let's grab our 6 7/8 by 9 3/4 fold out, and we're going to fold on those score lines. Okay, our hinge is going to be off to the right on the outside score line. We're going to pinch and crease. We'll still be able to see our other score line. And we're going to hook that back behind. So it should fit. Pinch. And glue this flap down. Too much hammering. I thought I was going to get away today with being able to film a little more, but maybe not. So now we're just going to open it, make sure there's no glue, and fold back on the other one and push in, so you should have a nice spacing there. We're going to open that up and find our decorative paper. All right, I'm back from a short little break. It's quieted down over there. We're having construction and a big remodel done to the house. So in your paper pack, you will find this gorgeous print. I'm in the second paper pack now, and on the back it is this. We're going to measure over 6 inches and cut. This piece here you can just set off to the side. We will be working with that here in a bit. We're going to turn this sheet like this. We have the little cup down here. We're going to measure over 9 1/2 inches and cut. Let's make sure that fits in there. And you should be able to get maybe a 1/16 of black border over here. Kind of center that top to bottom. But it should leave you a good 1/16 inch away from that score line as well. Let's go ahead and glue that down. The biggest thing is just to make sure you are not on that score line over there. Let's set this off to the side right now, and the piece that we want is the 3 1/8 by 9 3/4, the side tuck, and we're just going to place that down in your paper pack. You will have this print, and you will see you have this. This is what we're going to get after, and on the back it's this. So what we're going to do is right where the top of this curve is, we're going to stick this on our paper cutter and we're going to cut all the way down. So I'm going to grab my paper cutter really quick. And it looks like I need to get these little pieces out of the way. And I'm just going to situate this. So I just cut, it's about 3 inches, I would say. Now what we're going to do is cut with our scissors all the way around. This piece right here we'll put in our reserves. So the idea of this is what we're going to do is we're going to glue this down right like that, and that will give you just a little bit of a black border up there. We are going to hang off a bit, and that's okay. Just make sure you center that. We'll just snip off what hangs off. Wipe up any glue. Okay, we'll just snip off what hangs off there. Okay, now we're going to cut, leaving a little bit of that black showing, and I'm going to burnish down just a little bit better on my piece. I can see I need it. And then I'm going to show you mine. So when you're done, there's that. Let's grab this. So this should fit top and bottom. If you need to snip off a little bit more, do so. Just make sure you don't get this on your score line. So I'm going to rotate this. Put a little here, put a little here, and a line down the straight side. And I'll just match that up with my decorative paper. And anything that kind of goes over the top and bottom, I can definitely take care of. Get any of that glue up. I'm going to inspect to make sure. I see just a little bit peeking over. Just there. So now what we have is a little side tuck, and you also have a place right here where you can place a photograph, which is nice, but you also have this tuck area. We'll set this off to the side. You have this, your cut apart. Let's cut out and around that little window. I'll put this back in my reserves for right now. Once I'm done cutting out and around this, I am going to put this down to some black cardstock, and then I'm going to cut out and around that. So that's what mine looks like. And I'm going to glue this down right here. And I think with this, I'm going to make it so I can tuck back behind that too. So I'm going to rotate this over and just kind of get down the sides there. Making sure if you did have these little pieces that kind of come up more, it does not go over into your score line. I think right about there for me. So now you also have another tuck. All right, let's get this out. Sweet memories. We're going to cut out and around, kind of weave around that, the scroll work. And then we're going to mount that to some scratch black cardstock. And with this, I'm just going to kind of glue that down. I'm not going to get glue under this part, but right about here. Kind of layer that in there a bit. That looks good to me. I might add something else. Let's close that up. This piece that I had you set off to the side, what we're first going to do is trim this down. So I'm just going to cut off this little trim piece down here. Now I'll just turn it this way, measure over 9.5 inches and cut. I'll put that in reserves. And let's make sure that this is going to fit. I'm just going to trim off a little bit more, maybe a 1/16 or so from the side, just so that I have a better border there. And if I need to trim more, I will. But I think that that is going to work for me right there. So I am going to glue this down. I'm going to flatten out my little thing right now so I can get this down good. So let's just go ahead and fold on those score lines. This is real easy. Our hinge is off to the left. On the outside score line, we're going to pinch and crease, and we're just going to hook it on back behind, somewhere there in the middle. And we'll glue that flap down. And then we can push it back. Now on this, we're going to have a plus and a minus. Let's grab that plus. Hello, minus, you're sticking to me. And we're going to bring it over, and we're just going to leave a little bit, maybe a 1/16 from the edge there. We'll put the mate on. And then we're just going to bring it over, and that should put us on the page. And I'm going to shimmy that. See? All right, in your reserves you will find this piece. Whoops, it's getting away from me. And on the back it looks like this. This is approximately, it is 1 3/8 by 6 inches. we're just going to do a measure to fit, guys. It's real simple. We're going to lay it down. We'll leave a little bit of a black border, so we'll go just to the edge of that magnet. And we're going to make sure that we go, here's our outside score line. We're just going to go on the other side of it. And we're going to cut. Now we'll also cut the same, use this as a template to cut the other. But if you'd like a measurement, first start off with about 2 1/4. So 2 1/4, and then I did another one about 2 1/4. And I'm just going to lay that down and glue it down. So I'm going to make sure I get to the edge of the magnet there and around. Get down around there. And I'll close it up, and I'm going to glue this one down. And you can pick whatever side you want. I think I'll go with that one. Let's set this off to the side for right now, and we are going to grab those 3 folders that we did, and we're just going to make sure we line these up, and we'll fold them in half. And one of these folders will actually be for page 3, I think. We'll stick it in a pocket or something. Okay, so the opening will be off to our right. In your paper pack, you will have another one of these. I'm going to stick this off to the side. The first thing that I want to do is cut right down the middle, right in between these two. So I'll still have a little bit of a white border there. We're going to start like that. Okay. So this is what you should have. Here's the right side, here is the left. Now I want you to take this one and turn it upside down so you have a thicker margin on both sides, and these should line up pretty identical. We're going to measure over 5 3/4 and cut. Let's see how that is. If we have to trim it up a little more, we will, but that will kind of even these up a little bit. Let's take a look. If I was to place this down on top, yeah, we're going to have to take it down a little bit more. So these should now be okay to place together this way. I want you to take off maybe a 1/16 from this side and this side. I think that's going to give us a better fit. Let's just see. If I place this down, I'll still be able to see a little bit of a black border, and that is pretty much on the sides what we're looking for, just a little bit. All right, so we're going to need 3 of these, and okay, this one put in your reserves. It's this one I want to work with. So to start, I think what I'm going to do is just divide these. We'll kind of do what we did before, kind of the measure to fit thing on each one. So here's one of my folders. I'm just going to place this down to where I can kind of see where I need to do my little pencil marks. Put one here, put one here. And then I can kind of use that as a guideline if I was to stick all these together. However, on the Mason one, it has the thicker band right up here. I'm going to place it like this. So this one this way, Rose Tea Time like this, and Sweet Home will go like this. And I've already made my mark, so I'm just going to cut these all at once, or you can do yours individually. We're just kind of trying getting these to fit in there nicely. As best we can anyway. Let's see if that will work for us. I think that that's going to work. If you need to trim off a little more off one of these, like I see this one I do, I'll do that. That's all we're trying to do, is fit this on the folder so it looks good. So this one's all ready to go, and you can use any side that you want. It's kind of hard to give on a panel sheet like that, just to give you a measurement and have you go ahead and cut. A lot of times with these, I just, to make sure that they do fit right, I just do like the measure to fit as I'm going along. It's easier for me. So there's one. And on the inside, I will wait until the end of the tutorial. I may put solid colored cardstock in here or nothing at all. Most likely I'll put something in there. So here's my next one, and I'm just going to verify the opening's over here. And this one does need to be trimmed just a little bit more, I'd say, just to get a better fit on there. So just a matter of little trimmings. And then my last one, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to have to do some more trimming off the top and bottom of that one. And it's the right size for, I guess, a regular photograph. Let's grab this. We'll just open that up. And let's see, Home Sweet Home. Let's see how that works tucked behind this one. So that will work. You can definitely get these in there. Rose Tea Time fits. I'm going to save this one for my other page. This one here, I'm just going to slide right on in there. I'm going to grab my book. Let's see how this works. Right back behind. Let's grab this back out. I see some more stuff I'd like to use here. You see the little envelope here? Let's get that out. We're going to make another little tuck. We're going to cut out and round this, and then we're going to back it to some black cardstock. And I'll show you what we'll put that. Just to add a little more interest. And you definitely don't have to be perfect. I'm not. Scrap cardstock. We'll glue it down to that. Alright, so that's what I got right down here. And I'm going to rotate this over, and all I'm going to do is put down one side over here and down the bottom. So, whoops, so I can use it as a little tuck for a tag. I'm going to bring it over a little more. Alright, this page is complete. I'm not going to cover that up. I don't feel I need to. And I do like how this turned out. I really do. I think that looks really good. So flip it over, score tape around the outside like a picture frame, one down the middle, one on either side, and I will meet you at the book. Okay, I got the score tape backing off. I shot a little bit of glue on the bottom. And for right now, what I would like to do is slide this back behind my page 4 so you can see my edges. And again, I'm going to try and bring this edge to the side edge over here. And that should, and try to get that even here. Match up. So I think right about there. And I'm going to burnish. I can take that out now. I got mine in the book, and if you notice, I'm not using a ton of lace throughout here, just a little bit here and there. On the top of this, I'm going to add just a little bit to go across the top. That's it. So I didn't want to make this totally lacy, just a little here and there I think I wanted to use. Real subtle. So I'm going to trim up some of the little threads on top. Then I'm going to glue that down. I am going to put down something back behind like this so that I don't make a mess. But I did want to incorporate some of this lace, but just not a whole lot. I don't think it really needs it. So this is why I said it's completely optional. If you wanted to add a little bit extra, you can. Okay, page 4 is complete. We are now moving on to page 5. We're on page 5 and we have some pre-cuts. Let's go over them. Our first one was a 6 1/4 by 8 5/8. We called it a pocket. First thing we did was lay this on our scoring board. We are 6 1/4 across. We scored at a half. We then turned it. We are 8 5/8 across. We scored at a half. And we scored at 8 1/8. Next, we had a 6 15/16 by 9 3/4. We called it a large fold out. What we did was we put this on our scoring board. We are 6 15/16 across. And for those of you that do not know what that is, I'm going to bring up this ruler of mine. One side kind of does this. It's a clear ruler, actually. I put a 2" by 12" piece of black cardstock behind it so it's easier to see. But I'm going to bring this up for those of you. And if you're working with a regular ruler, I'm going to use this side so you can see. So you see where 6 7/8 is and 7 inches? It is the little notch in between. We scored at a 1/2 inch and 11/16. So 11/16 on this, let me show you, just in case. You're using a regular ruler. I'll line this on up. There we go. So here's the 1/2 inch. And 11/16 would be the notch in between 3/4 and 5/8. And we scored. Next, we created 3 pockets. And they're 4 by 6 7/8. We laid this on our scoring board. We are 4 inches across. We scored at a half. We then turned this. We are 6 7/8 across. We scored at a half and 6 3/8. And we did this on all 3 of these. Then we had 2 pieces that were 4 5/8 by 7 inch. We called them a small fold out. On each one of these, what we did was we laid this so we are 7 inches across. We scored at a half and 3/4 on both of these. So this page, one of the pockets are pretty unique. We're going to create something here. But first, let's grab our main decorative paper, which is this. On the back side, it looks like this. We're going to turn it sideways. We're going to measure over 9 3/4 and cut. You'll put the little piece down here in your reserves. Now measure over 7 5/8 and cut. This piece here, place in your reserves. We're going to use this as our main decorative paper. In your reserves, you will find one of these. On the back, it looks like this. You'll also have another one that says Masons at the top. But we're going to use this one. It has the teacup, the plates, all that good stuff on it. Now the first thing that we're going to want to do is place this on our paper cutter, and we're going to cut off the green, leaving the white. So I'm just going to stick this on here and kind of line this up as best I can. And I'm going to leave that little white border on there. So this is what came off. I'm also going to do this on the top and the bottom just to get started. Just do the best we can. Now I can still see some of the green over here. I'm just going to trim this up a little just to get that off there without cutting the white, if I can. I'll do some. I think that's the best I'm going to get it. Okay, so the next thing is in between. You're going to go right in between on the white on each one of these. So just kind of, if you need to put a pencil mark, that's fine. If you can't get it exact, that's fine too. But I'm going to show you. I still have a little bit of white down here and a little sliver up here. So we're going to do that on each one of these. And if you get it to where you can't get any white, that's fine. It's not going to hurt nothing. I'm going to move this out of the way. So we have 5 pieces here. Let's grab our very large pocket. It's 6 1/4 by 8 5/8. Let's get this ready. Let's cut out those squares, but we're not going to adhere the back. Not yet. It's going to be easier for us if we just leave it flat like this. So what we're going to end up doing is something like this, kind of making a little pattern here. Doing something like that. So I am going to give you a measurement. We're going to grab this one and this one. The first thing I would like you to do on the teacup, just come over to the side, is measure down a 1/2 inch and make a little pencil line there. Then what you're going to do is, going this way, we're going to measure over 1 1/2 inches and make another line. So what happens is we have a line this way and then our 1/2 inch mark. We're going to do the same on this one, but we're going to come in on the side here. So I'm going to go 1 1/2 inches and then I'll come down a 1/2 inch. Just like that. Let's grab the rose and the teacup. So what's going to happen is that 1/2 inch line is going to tell us how far you're going to overlap down, and then your 1 1/2 over is going to tell us how far over. So all I'm going to do is a little line here across where the 1/2 inch, and I'm going to overlap. I'm trying to keep this straight. As straight as I can anyway. I'm just going to kind of look. Do the best I can. So there's that. And using this paper might be helpful to kind of see if you're staying straight or not. Okay, now for this one. And if it's not exactly perfect, that's okay. I think it's easier for me just to use the little corner down here and the scoring lines to try and see how straight I am. But let's see. I think that's good enough. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to apply glue to this piece. And this is where we can just fold back on these a bit. And we'll just tuck them back behind so we can see exactly what we're doing. But we're not going to glue them just yet. I'm just going to do some tucking back behind so all I see is what I have to work with. I'll start over here. So my flaps are back behind, and I'm going to leave just a little bit of a black border, 1/16 or so, on the side, and I'm going to glue that down. And then this one with the rose, we're going to go to the other side. We're just going to kind of make almost like a pyramid, I guess you'd call it, design on this pocket. I think that's fairly even. Now for this one, this is the easy one. We don't have to have a measurement so much. We're going to come down maybe a 1/16 from the top of that black cardstock and try to just center that where it needs to be, evenly on each. So that is what we're going to look like. Now let's fold this all out. We need another piece here. In your reserves, you will find a very skinny cutting, and it looks like bricks. This will work good for us. This is about 4 5/8 across. All we're going to do is, here is that fold. We're going to fold that back. We're going to place it going across. We'll make a pencil mark and we'll trim it. So it's going to fit on the bottom from side to side. It's just a very narrow piece. I'll line that up. Okay, I'm going to erase any pencil mark that I can see here. What we're going to do is we are going to cut in from the side. We're going to leave this flap up and around this whole piece and over. So I'll cut in from the side, and I'm going to leave a little bit of a black border. And it does not have to be perfect, of course. And I can clean this up when I'm done. So I need to clean mine up a little bit, but that's what it's going to look like there. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to fold this back piece up. If you have a craft knife, we're going to do the same thing. We are going to cut the black out, leaving a little bit of a black border. And the reason why I say to go ahead and put the black piece up is so that that can get trimmed down a bit. If you don't have a craft knife, what you can do is get your small scissors, poke a hole, and make slits this way and this way so you can get your scissors in there. I'm going to use a craft knife. So when you're done, it should look something like this. All right, I'm going to bring it up again. You don't have to be perfect, like I said. We're just cutting out the middle as best we can. All right, so let's do our glue like we normally would. Down in the corners, we'll fold in and up. Let's make sure. Now let's get it on our page. Get some glue. So now our pocket, if we put something in there, it doesn't fall through, but we can also get it some stuff in there. So I think that looks pretty good. Next, we're going to grab our 6 and 15/16 by 9 3/4 fold out. And our hinge is going to be off to the left on this. And I'm going to be giving you some measurements just to make a little line and stuff of where we need to be. So here is this. Hinge off to the left. Let's grab our ruler. From the bottom, we are going to be making a pencil line at 2 5/8. Just kind of put a little line there, light line. And then at 5 1/4, we're going to just make a little line. Pockets, we have 3 of them. We'll set that off to the side right now. So on each one of these, we're going to cut out the squares. We'll fold back and adhere, just like we normally do. I'm going to do mine all at once. I have all my pockets ready to go. Let's grab our fold out. Right now, what you're going to do is we're going to crease on the inside score line, so we won't be able to see the other one. I want to show you how this is going to place. Don't place it yet and jump ahead, but I just want to show you how this is going to look. We do need to get some strips of decorated paper first, but I like to show what's going on sometimes before we do it. So that top line that we made, this pocket will lay there. The second pocket is going to go on the next line down, and then this pocket will come all the way to the bottom of the cardstock and place like that. So we're going to have 3 pockets. The only decorated paper we need to find is right up in here, and then of course to cover our pockets. So that's what's going to happen. In your reserves, you will find this piece, and on the back it looks like this. Measure over 5 3/4 and cut. Again, our flap is all the way back behind. We're just going to center that, and we're going to leave ourselves a black border. It is going to be a little wider on the side, and that's fine. We're going to get that down. let's grab one of our pockets, and it's going to go to the top line there. And we're going to center that side to side, kind of line it up, and we're going to let it kind of bulge out a bit like this so we can get a little more in that pocket. In your paper pack, you will find this print. On the back, it is the tags. We're going to turn it sideways, measure over 3 3/8 and cut. This is what we should have. We're actually going to make 2 cuts. We're going to measure over 5 3/4 and cut. We'll measure over again 5 3/4 and cut. So this is what we should have if you turn it back over. We're going to grab one of these and we are going to place it down, and that will give us a little black lip up there for the pocket. We'll place this one down. The other one, hold off on. Let's grab our next pocket. That line we have, it's going to go right here. And we'll just line it up with that. Grab this back out of your reserves. On the back, it looks like this. We're going to measure over 5 3/4 and cut. Now this is going to leave us a little bit short down here, but that's okay. We're going to bring it up to the top, leave that little lip for the pocket. In your reserves, you will find this long strip. It says Special Days on it. Measure over 5 3/4 and cut. All right, we're going to add some glue here. You will not be able to see Special Days by the time we are done. We're just going to put that right up underneath this one, just to cover up some. It'll look like a green stripe. Our last pocket, we're going to place that. And I'll leave just a little bit of a black border down here. And this one goes right here, however you want to do it. So that came out really nice. I do have to clean up some of my glue that's seeped out. Right over here. So there is our little pocket on the fold out. Let's rotate that over so the peak's down. This is over here. In your reserves, you will find this print. On the back, it is this. What we're going to do is turn this sideways so the little postcards are sideways. Measure over 9 1/2 inches and cut. Now we're going to go 6 inches and cut. So measure over 6 inches. And I think that this will fit right on in there without getting on the score line. And it does. Let's glue that down. And then we are going to attach this. So this is a space just to place your photos. Okay, here's our piece. Here's the front. On that outside score line, pinch and crease. You'll still be able to see your other score line. And we're going to hook that back behind. And if you need to kind of maneuver this a little bit to get over the thickness of the pocket back behind, do so. And I'm going to pinch and hold. Now, one way to find out if you are straight is to look at your score line that you can see. It should be straight. If it's kind of crooked, then you need to just realign. Sometimes it's hard when we get a little bulk underneath there to get these on just right. Okay, now we're going to push back. We're going to grab our 2 small fold-outs. Whoops. And we're going to fold on those score lines. We're going to have a hinge off to the right and a hinge off to the left. So this is my right. This one will be my left. So we're going to work these first before we place them. In your reserves, you will find this piece On the back, it looks like this. We're going to measure over 6 inches and cut. So we have 2 sides. Here's our left hinge and our right hinge. This one here is going to be for our right side. This is for our left side. We need to get our magnets. So let's grab a plus and a minus. We're only going to place one magnet right now. And you see the one with the hinge off to the left. Let's rotate that over. Let's grab our plus. And we'll just put the mate on the other until we can get it on. Come in a good inch in the middle there. Okay, and where did my mate go? Here it is. I'm just going to stick that right there for right now. We cannot place our paper on this one just yet. Let's rotate that back behind. We are going to glue this one down. And I think what I want to do is actually, once I get this one down, I think I do want to put it on the book, and we'll get the other so we don't forget. It's easy to forget sometimes. So there's that. Let's grab our book. Let's get this one on. So what we're going to do is attach. So I'm just going to kind of weave around this, and it should fit over the current, the other fold out. So it should be pretty easy. What I'm trying to do is just get that centered in the middle. And then we'll put some glue. So once I kind of get it on some of these thicker ones, I just kind of bring it back over to make sure I got this on right. And I do. We'll get this one on too. So if you want, you can keep that shut, kind of slide this one back behind so you can line up easier. But since there's not a whole lot of bulk on the side here, it's easier to go on that outside score line pinch. You can see the other. It's easier when there isn't a whole lot of bulk to line up. So it just kind of fits right there. I'm going to get that down, and then we're going to get the mate on this other piece so we can do what we need to do. So now we got that, and you want to push it back so that you're where you need to be. Well, the mate is on here, so now I'm going to take that backing off. Make sure my sides, I've got my spacing, and if you're a little crooked, this is where you can kind of guide it. And I think I'll go right there. And then I'm going to shimmy this off really quick, place this one, and glue it down. And then we'll get the insides. So in this one, I'm just going to push it back flat so it's easier for me to burnish. And that should fit in there. Okay, let's see. Just like that. Now there's something I'm going to want to put right here, but for now let's finish up the inside and then we'll get to that. Grab this back out of your reserves. First thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to measure over 6 inches and cut. All right, we can just flip that over now. So this is what I have in my hand. We're going to flip it looking at it long ways. We're going to measure over 4 5/16 and cut that right down the middle. Place this here and we should have a good fit on both sides. I'm going to put this one over here and this one over here. And the reason why I did 5/16 rather than 3/8 is because I didn't want to have to cut into another piece. If I did 4 1/4, which is slightly smaller, it'd be too small. And I didn't want to have to waste any paper. I wanted to be able to use this. So I think this will work out good for us. All right, let's take a look. That looks really good. I like it a lot. Let's close it up for here. Let's grab this cut apart sheet and think of all the beauty still left around you and be happy Well, we're going to cut this off of our sheet, and we'll kind of cut around it, and we're going to mount that to some black cardstock. So I'll show you what mine looks like in just a moment. Okay, I got mine ready to go. It's backed with black cardstock, and I am just going to center that right here, right in the middle. Just like that. Now, if you'd like to just put glue down along the bottom so you can still use it as a tuck, you can do that. I think I will. The key is just trying to get this on kind of in the middle there somewhere. All right, this page is complete. Let's flip it over. Score tape around the outside like a picture frame. Now, and this one's super thick and it's heavy. We're going to go one down the middle, one on each side, and then put a shorter piece in there too. I'll show you. And then I'm going to meet you at the book. So something like that would work. So I'm going to burnish and then grab the book and we'll place this together. All right. What you're going to want to do with this one, you have to come all the way to the edge of the left side for this. So just line up your fold out with the edge of your page and then get it in there. That way, because we're pretty thick through here, that way it gives us some room so when we're flipping, it's not up like this from the thickness. So once we have that, this is one that we really have to get into and take our time and burnish. All right, this is in, burnished, and it looks good. We are now on page 6. We're on page 6, our final page. Oh, there goes the dogs in the background. Anyway, after we're done creating our final page, don't run off. We do need to reinforce the page hinges for this large album. So let's begin with our pre-cuts. We cut a 3 3/4 by 9 inch and we called it a pocket. And what we did was we laid it on our scoring board, so we are 3 3/4 across and we scored at a half. We next turned it 9 inches across and we scored at a half and 8 1/2 inches. Next we had a large fold out, a 7 by 8 7/8. We laid this on our scoring board. We are 7 inches across. We scored at a half and 11/16. We had a 3 1/2 by 9 5/8. We called it a side pocket. And we laid this on our scoring board. We are 3 1/2 across. We scored at a half. Turned it. We scored it at a half. Whoops, got crazy. Half and 9 1/8. In your paper pack, you will find this print. Very pretty. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to measure over 8 inches. And the reason why our measurement is different is because this is the back of our cover and we're a little bit wider than we are on our inner pages. So we're going to make up for that. So measure over 8 inches and cut. Once you've done that, we're going to turn it this way so the flowers are over here. We are going to measure over 9 3/4 and cut. This is our main decorative page. Let's grab our 3 3/4 by 9 inch pocket and let's assemble that. Cut out the squares, fold back, and adhere those flaps. Once you've done that, we're going to apply glue. Our opening is right here, and we're going to bring it down to the bottom of our page and glue that down. In your reserves, you will find this strip. Looks like this. Actually, look at it where it has, it looks like pomegranate or something over here. Let's go this way. Measure over 8 inches and cut. Now, this should fit right here, giving us a black lip. We're going to go ahead and glue this down. If you are using some lace, we're going to cut a strip that is 8 inches long. And we're going to glue that down there. Next, we're going to grab our 7 by 8 7/8 fold out, and we're going to fold on those score lines. Now we will be placing a magnet, however, it's going to go down here and we're going to cover it up with something. So our hinge is going to be off to the right on this. So on that outside score line, pinch and crease, you'll still be able to see your other one. And we're just going to kind of center that there as best we can. And we'll glue that flap down. I'm going to open mine up, make sure I don't have any glue seeping out, and then I'm going to push back against the other one. For the front, in your reserves you will find this. Place this down, it should fit nicely, giving you a black border, and we are going to glue that down. This is a super simple page. Alright, let's flip it to the inside. In your reserves you will find this print. Looks like this. We're going to turn it sideways. We're going to measure over 8 5/8 and cut. Okay, be mindful where this little score line is over here, but what we're going to do is we're going to apply glue, and we're just going to glue that down, staying probably about 1/16 to 1/8 away from that score line. And we're going to glue that down. Let's grab our side pocket, 3 1/2 by 9 5/8, and let's assemble it. Cut out the squares, fold, and adhere the back. So this is a side pocket, so the opening is here. What we're going to do is we're going to apply glue to this, and we're going to bring it over. Leave yourself a little bit of maybe a 1/16 of black showing over here, and we're going to place that. And then we need to set our magnets. Now, if you can see just a little bit of your cardstock, don't worry about it, your decorative paper up here. We do have something that goes over this. But first, let's grab our last 2 magnets, a plus and a minus. Now, what's going to happen is we're going to put the magnet over here, and we're going to come over, and it's going to tack down over here. So let's grab a plus. You're going to come down to the corner and leave yourself at least, I would say at least maybe a 1/2 inch this way and a 1/2 inch this way. Let's grab that mate. We'll remove the backing. And we're going to make sure that we are straight over here, and we're going to press. Let's set this off to the side. I'm going to grab my paper cutter. In your reserves, you will find this strip. It says Masons at the top, and it looks like this on the back. We're going to take off this green strip on the top. Okay. Next, we'll just turn it like this. We're going to measure over 8 5/8 and cut. And this little piece we can put in our reserves. Let's grab our piece. So what's going to happen is we're going to place this down. It's going to cover the magnet, and we'll just shimmy that in between our black cardstock here and over here to create a little lip. Let's get that down. I'm going to get around that magnet. Let's get something to cover that. On our cut apart sheet, we have this teapot with the flowers. Let's cut that out. We're going to cut out and around that. Next, the bowl. Let's get that. And we'll place this back in the reserves. So let's cut out and around both of these pieces really quick. So here is my teapot with my flowers and my bowl. We're going to overlap these two. So on the side of the bowl, we'll just put a little bit of glue. And we will bring that over. Next, once you've done that, we're going to place that down, glue it down to some black cardstock, and we're going to cut out and around, leaving a little bit of a black border. And I'll show you mine when I'm done. So here is mine. And this is where we're going to apply glue back behind here, and you can leave it as a little tuck if you would like. So I'm just going to rotate this over. I do need to get glue down in here where that magnet's going to hit. I'm just going to give this a little bend and burnish that. On your cut apart sheet, let's grab the plate and the coffee grinder, and we'll put all this back in our reserves. So we're going to do the same idea. We're going to cut out and around the plate and cut out around the coffee grinder. Alright, before we add glue to do any layering, we're going to grab this back out. And this is a wonderful day. I've never seen one like this before. We're going to cut that out. So let's cut out around this. So we have all these. Now we're going to layer. Now the best way to do this is we're going to figure out where we need to place the glue is place your plate down. Place your coffee grinder over the bottom. This one's going to slide back behind the coffee grinder so that we're not covering up any of this, but the top part of this is kind of hit right up in here, and it's going to kind of overlap. So the coffee grinder comes forward, these are going to go back like this. So the first one I want to do is get the coffee grinder on there, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue right down the side so that I don't cover anything up. So there's that. And now that goes over the plate. I'm just going to dab a little glue. We are going to mount this to black cardstock. You just want to make sure your plate isn't going to extend over. Okay, so that's what that looks like. We're going to glue this down to some black cardstock, and we're going to cut out and round it. And that will strengthen it up. Also, it will provide us for a tuck and a little interest on the front of that page. There is this little opening here. Depending on how you cut out your coffee grinder, I'm going to go in there probably with my craft knife and just kind of cut that out. You don't have to if you don't want to. So this is what mine looks like. Give that a little bend. So what I'm going to be doing is putting glue back behind under here on the side, along the side underneath this, and along the bottom. So I'm just going to rotate that. I'll put some glue over here, down the side, and along the bottom. That should be good. And then I'm going to place it in there. On there. Now we're going to finish up this. Grab this back out. And I think what I would like to do is put this on my paper cutter and cut straight on down. Let's see how that looks. I might trim it up a little bit more, but we'll see. I want to see how this looks. I think it might look pretty good. And I think I'm going to use it. I kind of like that. So I'm just going to measure to fit here. And I'm going to trim it down, and I'm going to glue that down, just for something a little bit different. I kind of wanted it there. All right, our page 6 is complete. Let's flip it over. Score tape around the outside like a picture frame, one down the middle, one on each side, and I will meet you at the book. then we're going to reinforce the page hinges. Okay, I got mine score tape off the back. I got a little glue shot down there. Let's open up to the back. So we're going to want to stay 1/4 inch away at least, or a 1/2 inch from that. Now remember, we have that inner cover that we put here, the black, where we wrote 6 on. You can always use that too as your guide. Just make sure you don't go outside the book. But let's try to line that up with our other page. That's probably the hardest part for me. I think I'm just going to go right there. Boy, that sure came out good. And I'm going to burnish. I really like that. That looks really good. We did a good job on this one. All right, reinforcing the page hinges. Let's move on into that section and then we'll be done. All right, let's open up to our first page here. And in your reserves, you will have this. We're going to turn it sideways, measure over 10 3/8 and cut. This little piece that came off, we may be using that. So we're going to make some cuts here. What we're going to do is we need 3 1/2 inch strips. So measure over 1/2 inch cut, measure over again 1/2 inch, and one more time 1/2 inch. So here are my 3 1/2 inch strips. And all we're going to do with these is, you see where our flat part is? That our hinge that came down onto our spine. This is going to place right on there, and we're going to center that top and bottom. So it's going to go past your hinge to get onto that spine, and this is what's going to help us. And then we're going to tee across. So glue is a good one for this. So evenly, without getting on that little crease, but you do want it to come up. And I think I got mine on pretty good there evenly. You should still be able to see some of your black cardstock at the top. And we're just going to make sure we wipe up any glue. And you're going to want to use your tool to make sure you burnish down onto that spine piece really good. Now that we have our first one set, this is going to be our guideline to where we put these other ones. And I got some glue squirting out. So if we flip it and you grab your next, you know where to match up because we want these even, and then it will be even down here too. So let's do that. And then we're going to do it with the other one. This is really simple. This just helps to keep down because of the weight of the pages, and they're larger. So gravity wants to take effect and pull on your hinges there. I recommend doing this on any large album just to be safe. And it'll look good in between our pages and at the top middle spine when we're done. Okay, last one. All right, this piece here, what you're going to want to do is you can open it up to the first page, but you see where the side of the bottom is here and over to the right side of this one? Well, we're just going to lay that right on over to match up and measure to fit. Since some of us may have put our hinges on, I can't really give a measurement because it may be off because we all placed ours in the book, but some of us may have shifted ours over a little bit. So that is why I say we're going to do a measure to fit. So I'm going to cut right there. I'm just going to use my scissors for this. So there is the width down here. All right, so I'm just going to kind of lay that down over. Now what I need to do is figure out how far down I need to trim this. So I'm just going to go maybe a 1/16 from the edge, or the bottom edge up, and I'm going to cut. I'm just going to hand cut. I maybe got 1/8 of an inch, and then I'm going to verify that this is going to fit right. and mine does. And when you're trying to fit this, you're going to make sure you can still turn your pages. It is not interfering with anything. And I think I'm a little whiter on this side. I'm just going to trim that down a bit. So we'll apply glue, and then we need to check to make sure we have no glue seeping through our pages there. But this is the easiest way, and that T across helps to keep this edges down, these edges down. All right, I'm going to flip this around so I can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to see if this is the same, and it is. So I'm just going to do the same thing I did before. And I'll verify my cut is good. And it is. And I'm going to glue it down. You'll want to burnish really good too. I don't think finger pressing is the best way to do these. So now let's take a look at what we have here, and we have some blended pages, and it looks nice. Now if you want to go a step further and put a trim up here and here to match up with this, you can. You have this piece, and if you wanted to do maybe an 1/8 inch strip, as long as it doesn't interfere with your other pages, you can go all the way around this to trim it up. But I think that looks really good. Our album is complete. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll see you on my next one. Happy crafting, everybody.